Hello, we are from the Mount Sinai Light and Health Research Center. In this video, we're going to show apple growers how to treat their trees with titanium dioxide in order to fight the pathogen that causes fire blight. We've been working with growers to fight plant pathogens with UV light, both electrically generated and in the case of this video, we're using UV in sunlight. When titanium dioxide powder is exposed to the UV and sunlight, it creates conditions that essentially disinfects the plants, helping them fight disease without creating increased pesticide resistance. As you may be aware, the bacteria Erwinia amylovera overwinters in cankers formed on shoots and trunks of apple trees. In the spring, as the weather warms and apple trees are blooming, that's when the primary fire blight infection happens. You may have seen examples such as blossom blight and shoot blight on your trees. Titanium dioxide is a naturally occurring mineral. The powdered form is inexpensive and readily available. When suspended in water, titanium dioxide can be sprayed onto your apple blossoms to control apple fire blight. We'll talk later in this video about regulatory status. As shown in this bar chart, titanium dioxide performed as well or better than conventional antibiotic treatments. And that is at the lowest concentration we tested, 450 parts per million. Here's what you'll need to treat your orchard. First, you'll need titanium dioxide powder. The P25 here refers to the average diameter of nanoparticles, in nanometers. Titanium dioxide P25 includes nanoparticles ranging in diameter from 10 to 100 nanometers. This can be readily purchased in bulk. We get it at chemistry supply companies such as Fisher Scientific. We'll put a link to that in the show notes. It should be noted that the P25 is not the only titanium dioxide available. Other formulations have been shown to have even superior efficacy to P25 in controlling plant pathogens. But again, P25 is really inexpensive and readily available, so that's what we have been working with for controlling fire blight in apples. In addition to the titanium dioxide, you'll need a measuring bottle with a tight-fitting lid. We use a digital scale to measure out the correct amount. For your sprayer, we'll show a video clip with a gasoline-powered backpack sprayer, but you could use other types of sprayers such as a tractor-drawn tower air blast sprayer. You'll need a mixing bucket with an indication of a fill line in order to get the right concentration. We used a stirrer, such as like a paint stirrer. There have been some concerns about the potential negative health effects on humans from titanium dioxide. It's a well-known and ubiquitous whitener found in products such as paint, toothpaste, and dairy products. The US EPA has formally stated that titanium dioxide is safe to ingest and can be considered inert. But there has been some concern about inhalation of the nanoparticles based on one animal study that showed an increased likelihood of lung cancer in some rats. Those led to an initial ban in Europe for foods and non-foods alike, but a subsequent study failed to show and replicate those kinds of results. So the European ban on non-food products like toothpaste and cosmetics has subsequently been lifted. There's never been any restriction to the use of titanium dioxide in the US as of 2025. So if you look at the material safety data sheet, it may refer to avoiding inhalation and skin contact. Please wear a respirator, gloves, and protect your clothes. Here's the mixing procedure. First step is to determine what concentration to use. We found a few concentrations to be effective: 450, 750, and 1300 parts per million. We tested a higher concentration, 2500, but we actually found it was less effective than those lower concentrations. As of 2025, more research is needed to learn what concentration is optimal. For a target of 450 parts per million, you're going to need 1.7 grams of titanium dioxide per every gallon of spray water. For a target of 1,300 parts per million, you're going to need 4.9 grams of titanium dioxide for every gallon. In the following video, we'll show 3 gallons at 1,300 parts per million concentration, thus we measured out 14.7 grams. We found that if you dump that powder directly into the water of your mixing bucket, the powder just clumps. So here we'll show you the improved method for mixing. Pre-measure your powder into the mixing bottle with a tight-fitting lid, and then put some of the water from your mixing bucket. As we'll show you next, agitate the water in the bottle, like a cocktail shaker. Pour it into the mixing bucket and repeat to rinse out the mixing bottle. Here's the video showing that process.
Okay, so I'm talking just for a minute about the best way that I've found to mix the titanium dioxide in the water for spraying. I have a bucket here with 3 gallons of water pre-measured. That's the capacity of my backpack sprayer, and then I have a pre-measured amount of titanium dioxide for the 3 gallons of water. So this happens to be for a plot that's getting a 1,300 ppm treatment. So in here, might be hard to see, it's pretty bright out, but the powder's in the bottom. So the trick to this is getting it wetted out so that you don't get clumps. So the best way I've found to do this so far is just to add water to the bottle so that the material is in with the water. And then we're going to recap the bottle, and we're going to do that tightly and shake it vigorously. Okay, that'll break up any of the clumps. What I found, if you just pour the water into the liquid and try to stir it with the stick, you'll get clumps. But now we have a milky liquid, and if you watch as we pour it into the bucket, you can see it's readily in there. So I'm going to add a little more water here, shake it again just to get the rest of it out. Pour that in. Do a visual check. Nothing's left in the bottle. Now everything, all the particles should be broken up. You shouldn't have any clumps. So what we do next, I just take a paint stirring stick here, mix the batch up. So it's homogeneous. And now we'll, let's pour it in the sprayer. Try to do this one-handed. Might be a little bit of a trick. I get toward the very end of the bucket here. I'm going to give it a quick swirl to make sure everything that was in it comes out, goes into the sprayer. You'll notice there's a few clumps left in the filter. That's from previous attempts where we were just mixing it straight into the water and stirring it with a stick. So this seems to be the best way to handle it.
When and how much titanium dioxide should be applied? Apply during the bloom phase. Start at about 80% bloom and reapply at 100%, even if that's just a couple days later. Reapply again if you have a big storm that washes it away. Apply in clear weather, not during rain or other precipitation. What time of day? We haven't compared what time of day would be most effective, but since this uses sunlight, the morning might be the best. Where should you apply? Aim for the blossoms, but it's fine to spray the leaves as well. Keep spraying until the liquid runs off. If your trees are trellised, You can spray both sides, as you'll see in the upcoming video clip. 1 kilogram of titanium dioxide can treat approximately 1,000 trees at a concentration of 450 parts per million and a spray rate of about half a gallon per tree. In the next clip, we'll show you how our colleague sprays the apple trees. You especially want to make sure you get all those blossoms because that's the primary transmission. Note that on a nice warm spring day, within about 15 minutes the water has dried and you can see a whitish protective film on the leaves. And the bees are coming back to the blossoms.
So after they're treated, they have these little water droplets on them. You can sometimes see, you see the little water droplets on the leaves. But if we come over here to which was treated just probably 10-15 minutes ago, you'll see that most of those, even 20 minutes ago, most of those water droplets have already evaporated from the blossoms and the leaves that we showed earlier. So it does not take very long for the water to evaporate.
After those video clips, you might have a few questions. For instance, what is the regulatory status of titanium dioxide application in agriculture? As of 2025, titanium dioxide is not an approved method for controlling plant pathogens. However, US EPA says it's an inert mineral, and US FDA says it's safe to eat. USDA has not ruled on titanium dioxide's use as a pesticide yet because no one has actually sought approval yet. There's simply not enough data for USDA to rule on its use, so until more studies have been completed, there is little justification for seeking USDA approval. So stay tuned for more information about regulatory status. Here's another possible question. Is it okay to spray titanium dioxide at the same time as antibiotics? Well, titanium dioxide is inert and should not interact with conventional antibiotics. We did not combine them into a single spray treatment. They were applied separately. Combining treatments was not more effective, we found, compared to titanium dioxide alone. But they have different modes of attack on the Erwinia bacterium, so combined treatment should be better. Ultimately, we're trying to provide growers with alternatives to antibiotic use to avoid contributing to antibiotic resistance for reasons of both plant health and human health. For our latest plant health research updates, check out our webpage. We want to say thank you to our sponsors, the New York Farm Viability Institute. Thank you to Bowman Orchards in Rexford, New York. And thank you for watching this video.